Hello, frugal friends. I am actually sitting outside our apartment right now in Hong Kong. And as promised, I am going to be talking to you today about our apartment. I'm going to give you a tour, and we're going to talk about how much it costs. And if the reason that you're here is just to learn how much we pay, I'm going to tell you right now, we pay 13,000 Hong Kong dollars for our 425 square feet, which is the equivalent of 1,670 US dollars. And believe it or not, that is a pretty small amount by Hong Kong standards. We do live in public housing, and one question that we get asked a lot in Hong Kong, and I do talk about this at the end of the video, but one of the questions we get asked a lot is, how did we get into public housing? Because it's pretty uncommon for foreigners to be in public housing. As you would suspect, even in the U.S., public housing typically has a limit on how much you can earn in order to stay there. So the reason that we are in public housing is because there was a period of time in the 1990s, this is our understanding anyway, when the government allowed people who were renting apartments in public housing to actually buy their apartment. And it was during that time that our landlord bought his apartment. And if they bought their apartments, they could rent out their apartments. So that's how we ended up getting into a public housing estate. Typically, like I said, you have to qualify for those, and you would be a lower income family. So the people who live the other people who live in our estate pay less than that. And I talk about the differences between public and private later on, but typically the public estates aren't as nice. They don't have all the amenities that the private estates have, and they're cheaper overall. So anyway, if the reason you were here was just to find out how much we do spend, now you know. If no one is on the elevator with you, it takes you about 30 seconds to get from ground floor to the 33rd floor. And as you can see, no one was on with me this time. You will also see that our block, when we get off the elevator here, is a trident block, meaning there are 3 hallways, and it is open to the air, which is typical of the public estate. So you can see the mountain out here, out the back. And then you can look down the different hallways, one this way, one over this way, and then down our direction. And again, all open to the elements here, so it can get pretty gusty and windy when you're coming through. You can look out to the apartment behind us there. You will notice that the doors all have metal gates that can be shut. We don't typically shut ours, but it is like a double lock system, so you can lock the door and then also lock the apartment. So here we are entering. Go around here, you can see we have like a little coat rack hanging up on the side. And then when you go into our kitchen on the right, I have our dryer. The dryers are all made so that you don't have to have outside ventilation or filters. You can see it's not very wide, and there's a lot of IKEA rails, you will notice, so that everything can hang above the counters instead of sitting on them. Looking out our window from the 33rd floor, you can see we do have a clothesline there, which I do not use because I don't want to drop my clothing. 2-burner gas stove, which is pretty normal. Again, I'm showing off the rails there where we hang things. And then you can see there's even a rail to hang the dish rack. The refrigerator is a pretty good size for Hong Kong. It has the regular door, and then that's our washing machine. And then the oven is about the size of a microwave, but it is also a convection oven and a steaming oven, so it can be used all 3 functions. The bathroom is a little hard to tell here, but it's pie-shaped almost. So obviously toilet, and then a shower that's not just a square, it is kind of rectangular. And then a sink, and that's all that's in there. There's a little bit of storage up above, as you can see. And then this apartment does have built-in bookcases and some cabinets, which is really nice, and certainly not in all apartments that you see in Hong Kong. And this room is what makes our apartment feel bigger than it is, because it's a nice open area here. Sorry for the bad lighting. You can see we have another bookshelf there. Mike keeps his bike inside over behind the table. And then this is the bedroom that we stay in. It's actually not the biggest bedroom. But you can also see that it's a double bed. It's pretty much all that's in there. And Mike just fits from end to end. We do have heating and air conditioning there. And then we have this cabinet and closet in our bedroom also. And then, yeah, you can see that there's drawers under the bed. They really utilize space well here. This little bedroom would be considered a closet by most standards in the US, but they did manage to get a smaller size loft bunk bed in. And there's a cabinet in here. We use this for our drying room. That's a dehumidifier. So I usually hang my clothes to dry, even though I do have a dryer. And you can see the air conditioning unit up there. And then this next bedroom is actually the biggest of the 3 bedrooms. We use it as a guest room. We have a little desk there. There's a window to the outside. You can see the windows all have bars on them to prevent people from falling out. We do have a few things stored on top of the bed, even though we don't really need to there. So we have this loft bed, another double bed in here, and then we have an area underneath that's just a sitting area, a reading area, and some more built-in cabinets, as you can see. They actually go into the other room. It's hard to tell here, but they're deeper than they look, so you can hang clothes in them. See there, that wall, it shows that it is a little bit deeper. And here is just the living room area. We have sofa, dining room, and that is about it.
In Hong Kong, there are 3 basic types of housing, and you could certainly parse it down into different types under those 3 categories. But the 3 basic types are public housing, private housing, and village houses. So I just wanted to show you kind of, it's a great view out my window to show you the 3 different types of housing, and how really all over Hong Kong it's very difficult to just put a dividing line, because those 3 types of housing are together everywhere you go. The big housing blocks are called housing estates. So what you can see here, the one right in front of you and over this way, and the one that I'm standing in, are all part of an estate. There are 12 blocks or 12 high rises with, I don't even know how many apartments total, but in our building there are 34 floors and there are 18 apartments on each floor. And I know they're not all the same, but that will give you some idea of how many people are in each estate. Kwang Yun Estate, which is our public housing estate, has about 21,000 people living in those 12 towers. So just to show you how close public and private, Kwang Yun, which we're in, is a public estate. But right here, this is called Castello. It has, I believe, 4 towers, and it is a private estate, so right beside the public ones. But you can generally tell a difference, because if you look underneath here, you can see the pool, you can see a tennis court, and they have what they call a podium level, which is 2 floors up. Whereas, I don't know if you can tell here, but like my estate, you walk into right from ground level. And the private estates typically have the podium level where you can't just walk in to the buildings from ground level. And then there's also village houses, which you can see right down here. And by law, village houses can't be more than 3 stories tall. And they can also have the rooftop, which I don't know how well you can see from up here. But it gives you, again, some idea of how closely all of these different types of buildings just live together. So all land in Hong Kong is owned by the government, and leased. So you never buy your land, you get land, you pay land premiums and you lease it for so many years.